evening, everyone. Welcome back. I'm sure you guys are surprised where Raj was and Gutej was hosting all the shows, and we are here today and with a new episode on a different podcast. And first, I would like to congratulate Gutej for hosting all the previous shows really well, and he's been top of that, and he's taking care of all this, and he really put up this great show together, Meet the Professional, and he has done a couple episodes before. And today's episode is going to be very useful for a lot of us from our young generation to people that are in the middle of transitioning to our different job roles or recent graduates. The reason I'm saying that because the era we are living in the COVID situation, we are adapting to a new sort of a normal that is virtually doing things, virtually meetings, virtually learning, teaching, and getting together, right? So that is what today's topic is: how technology is playing a huge role, vital role in everyone's life. How is it changing the way we used to do things? And how is it going to change the things we're going to do in the future? And that is what the podcast topic is today: computer engineering profession. So today we're going to have such a great guest joining us to cover what is computer engineering and what kind of information you need to know in order to get ready for it. So before we jumping into that, I would like to hand over to Gutej to shed some light and bring our guest and share with us.
No, thank you very much, Rajdeep. As you have mentioned, everything has been changed due to COVID, but everybody has seen a great leap, a great strength in the computer domain. So everyone saw in Y2K or in 2000 what happened. But now things have tremendously changed with the technology that we have. Now we are living in a global village. Everybody sitting anywhere, they can work from home for a company that is sitting thousands of miles away. So we'll learn today about computer engineering. So how it was earlier, what kinds of programming languages were there, what kinds of languages are being used right now. In some of the jargons like cloud computing, everybody may have heard of machine learning, artificial intelligence. So this is a field which anybody can transition into at any stage of their life. So it has small tools, small languages one can learn. So we will learn from a professional who is Gagandeep Singh. He did his bachelor's from Guru Nanak Dev Engineering College in Ludhiana. He is an alumni of my same college. So welcome, Gagandeep. So then he went to do his master's in information system security, that is from Concordia University in Montreal. So now he's working with Apple as a system security analyst. So I will welcome Gagandeep. So Gagandeep, please share some about yourself and let us know why this computer field you chose to get into. You get your bachelor's, then master's. So how did it interest you?
Thank you, Gurtej. First of all, very good evening to the viewers who are listening and are online. My name is Gagandeep. I did my BTech from Guru Nanak Engineering College some like 13 years back, and Masters in Information System Security from Concordia University, Montreal, around like in 2011. So my interest in computer science began when I was in school. Doing my high school in 10 and 10 plus 1 plus 2. Then I went to pick like a common entrance test in Punjab and went into BTech. And then I did my GRE exam. I wanted to migrate to USA, but destiny took me to Canada instead. So I took my admission in information system security field, which is an emerging trend in today's world. So yeah, that's how the journey began. So now, as Gurtej said, I'm here to tell you something about computer science. Can we start, Gurtej?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So computer science, it's a stream of study in which we develop applications or devices which we we make the machine to solve our problems. That's what computer science is about. For that, we have to create our own device, maybe on own applications in a way that the machine can interact with the human being. So, yeah. It has computer science has different fields, starting with the system architecture. The main and important part of computer science is programming, and then there is a networking part also. Then is databases. We will talk more about programming today, as it's the one thing that there's like a future in computer science.
Thank you very much, Gagandeep. So you have shared what computer science is. So from the layman language or somebody who doesn't aware what this stream is, as there are many streams like electrical engineering, electronics, civil engineering, computer engineering. So what is the core domain or how this computer programming thing or the computer engineering thing works at the ground level?
Yeah, like computer is like whatever for okay. The best thing to describe computer science is when you sit in front of computer, whatever you see on your device is because of computer science. There is something that has been done in the background, which is called programming. That's what you see in front of your device, on your system, on your screen. That's where it comes into picture. Like everything you interact in today's world electronically is something has been designed at the back end. And that's the place where computer science or electronics, these things come into place. If any electronic thing or any computer related information system device you see in the real world, that's based on a programming part of computer science.
Okay. Thank you, Gagandeep. And I believe when you talk about the programming, there's going to be certain languages. When we talk about program, there are certain languages associated with it. And when we talk about it, these languages didn't just come up like recently. They've been in the industry for many years. So can you shed some light on how it started with what kind of programming languages back in, if you talk about 20 years ago, I believe there was some C language, C++, those kind of things we used to hear when we were growing up.
Absolutely. I work for a world's renowned company. Because of my job, I cannot disclose the details. But the founder once said that everybody in the country should learn how to program a computer because it teaches you how to think. And sometimes back, the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, he said, when he was asked what is the future of IT, he just said two words. He said, learn coding. So yeah, that's the major part of computer science. As you asked, Rajdeep, in past there have been programming languages like COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, and in mid-90s there were emerging languages like programming languages, object-oriented languages called C and C++. They are used in today's world also, mainly in microcontrollers or microsystems or supercomputers. One big example is SpaceX engineers or Tesla's microsystems. They're still using C and C++. So those were the kind of legacy languages. There's still jobs in those languages. The job market still requires people who are fluent in good in programming in C and C++. But eventually it's transitioning to new and emerging technologies that I will talk about later on. And then after C and C++, in early 21st century, in first decade of 21st century, it was Java. Java is very much used in today's world also today, and it's not going away in another 10 or 15 years, I guess, because they're changing they're bringing new technologies, integrating new technologies in the environment. And then there have been databases for example, SQL, MySQL, and they are also being replaced. The primary reason for that one was because of the security concerns that there have been a huge number of vulnerabilities that are found recently, in the last 5 or 6 years. So they are new technologies. They're overtaking these legacy technologies databases, which I mentioned earlier, like SQL or MySQL, or mid-90 languages like C and C++. Yeah.
So Gagandeep, now we're talking about the transitioning from older languages to more advanced and more sophisticated, or I would say more simpler that can make are they easy to learn, or how they're being adapted, and what are those languages that are currently right now in demand in the market?
The new ones are like Java is still very much in demand, and then there's one from Microsoft, .NET or C Sharp. Then the emerging ones like that come in like around 2008 is Python. Google is very much using Python on their environment, on their frameworks, and then they have then they're like a company specific languages also. Like for example, they are big companies, right? Google and Apple, they're like big ones. Uh, Go is a language that was developed by Google. They are using it along with the Java, Python, and C++. But major part of their environment, whatever the technology, whatever the application they develop, is based on Python and Go. And then there's Swift language, which was developed by Apple. And if you are like willing into going into like creating applications on iOS framework, then you should be going with the Swift language. Other than there's like a search language called R, which is used for like data analysis or searching new technologies. Python is very much in demand right now. Very much like about like 8.2 million users are using Python today. I think it has taken over Java like recently, some 8 or 9 months ago. Last year, 2020, mid 2020, around 7.6 million users, developers were using Java language for developing. Now, around 8.2 million developers are using Python. So the reason people are transitioning from these old languages to the new one is it is easier to use, it's faster, and the libraries are bigger ones. Like when I say libraries, means they don't have to do coding for very small things. Like they have a like I can explain this one later on. Then regarding the databases, as I said initially, like around 20 years ago, it would be like a MySQL or SQL databases. Now there are new trends coming up like MariaDB, MongoDB, NoSQL. That's a framework which other databases work on. And then there is like web technologies. For example, if you go with the say Facebook is using PHP still. If you want to like log into like on your desktop, just type facebook.com, open your home page, and you'll see it is developed in PHP, which is gradually dying because of security concerns. The vulnerabilities are like too many in PHP. And then if you want to go and search Wikipedia, it's also developed in PHP. They are also moving to like Java technologies now. The reason is same. The vulnerabilities in PHP are like way too many. And then they're like front-end technologies, just like how your website looks, the visual of your website, like CSS, HTML, those kind of things.
So thank you, Gagan. As you explained, so yeah, there were previously some languages, those are now getting transitioned into the new languages as Python is taking over Java language. So the roles and responsibilities are also changing in the computer engineering domain. So earlier it was only a computer engineer. Now more terminologies like we hear about full stack developer, front end, or somebody is working on the back end. Can you please share some light on those kinds of roles? What kinds of expertise one need to become a full stack developer or a front end developer, or if somebody wants to work on the back end? So what are the differences and what kinds of skill sets they need?
As I said, like the major part of computer science is programming, right? So if you go online to any job portal and search for a programming job, like a developer job, they will usually ask today, they will usually ask for a full stack developer. What does that mean? Like you can divide the developing part into two things. Like say the front end and the back end. You can say like is this on the stage, what's happening on backstage, right? So the stage one is the front end, what we see. Like we open any web application, what you see has been developed by the front end developer. How the visuals look, where is the button placed, whatever this is, what is the color, what is the theme used on that website. Those things that are done by the front end developer. The person, if you are going and see a stage show, what we see on the stage, that's done by the front end developer. For that thing, the preparations were made on the stage for the people who were performing on the stage. The preparations were made at the back end also. The people performing at the backstage. That's what happens in computer programming also. So how those back end things, where the data is stored, how the application behaves, how it interacts with the database, maybe what query to like research on something, how that the search results come up on your website, those kind of things. Those are developed by the back end developers. So this is called like a front end stack developer and back end stack developer. If you go online on the job portal today, the majority of companies, they would ask for like a full stack developer. So what is full stack developer? It's like a jack of all trades. They demand people like who can do the front end programming also, who can do the back end programming also. So anyone who is both good in front end developing and back end developing is called a full stack developer. Why do companies demand this one? So they can decrease the headcount, they can save money and get the same results out of people from one single people instead of hiring two.
Thank you, Gagandeep. Like that's a really good comparison between the full stack developer, front end, back end. So when we're talking about these different roles and positions that companies are looking for, are there any different technologies that are being used? For example, for the back end specifically, like you talked about our different programmings before, these were used to be used, now they're trending into the new ones, Python, Java, and R. So can you shed some light on what sort of technology is coming under the back end?
Yeah, sure. Like in the 1 second, let me open the slide. Okay, yeah. So in the back end, like I will talk with the front end first. Front end is like HTML, which is very popular and has been going on for a long time. Then it comes CSS, Cascade style, and then there is JavaScript. JavaScript is not going anywhere for a long time now. The front end tools, these are like the Angular, React. They are both based on Open Java. They are developed by different people, different organizations based on Java. And then there is a backend. Backend is like PHP, right? Ruby on Rails, again like Python. And then on the database side, like there's Oracle or MongoDB, as I explained before. MongoDB, MariaDB, MemSQL, these kind of technologies. And for the backend, there's one very important thing that's required for any developer is how they can use like a version control applications, like for example Microsoft, which acquired Git application sometimes back. So that's where they share the codes for some time for certain things, not for everything. For any open technology, they can share their code on that thing. The developer should know how to use that Git, how to like import these things on their own systems.
Yeah.
So, Gagandeep, so does it seems like it has opened more opportunities for somebody who wants to enter into these fields, or it has limited the opportunities or consolidated some of the roles? Can you please talk about that?
Exactly, the roles have been consolidated, but the opportunities are still there. Like I would say, they have grown because the companies, they are unable to find people who are like full stack developers. Either they can find like a front end or the back end. And if they want to save money, right? Exactly like you said, that the roles have been consolidated, but the companies, every company, they want to decrease their headcount, right? They save money, they go with these things. For example, like in these days, we are seeing a lot of DevOps jobs coming up. So what previously it used to be like the developers, they would develop the application, and the operations team they would like how to scale that application, right? So now the roles have been consolidated. They've like put it into one. They say the developer should be able to take the responsibility of the operations team also. And then from DevOps would be one thing, then the security field would be different thing. Now they want to join one more thing. Like they say, okay, we're looking for a person who can develop the application, who can take care of the security aspects of the application, and then who can take the operations thing, right? How to deploy the applications. So they are looking for these kind of things. Full stack thing and Dev security ops or DevSecOps. These are the like the job that's in demand into this market.
Right.
So absolutely, you are right. They're consolidating the roles.
So, Gagandeep, right now we're at the time in this world where I think this is very important to talk about that. Right now we're sitting virtually far away from each other.
Yeah.
And that's where the technology is playing that whole role. So a lot of time we hear this jargon. The services are being provided in the cloud, and how the industry's trend is changing in the coming future. So what kind of things we are getting into, and what kind of things that we're just literally breaking in, but we haven't fully explored it yet. So can you shed some light on the cloud side and what other trend is coming in the future in the IT side?
So yeah, like you might have heard about like iCloud or Google Cloud Platform. You might be using like a Google Drive, or you might be using a Microsoft Office on your devices. So those are things that are based on cloud technology. So what is cloud technology exactly is like you get your service anywhere where you have internet. So the basic requirement is you have a device, you have internet, and you can get your service. So what kind of service it is? Like for example, storage. Like you are storing your data online somewhere. You just need to like you have the system, you have internet, and you can access it anywhere, right? This is like three different parts of cloud, I would say. One is like infrastructure as a, we call it in a technical terms, it's called infrastructure as a service. So what does this mean is like for example, if you are using like for example Microsoft Azure, which is a cloud service, or Amazon Web Services, AWS, or IBM's cloud. So those kind of, for example, every company, like there's a company, say XYZ, right? There's a company, there must be some server team. So like they are taking care of all the service, the storage thing, and all the network service, everything. So basically, when in cloud service, we like move our data to some service providers. The famous one, popular ones in the market are like, for example, Microsoft Azure, as I said before. Then there's GCP, Google's cloud platform. There's Amazon's web services, AWS. Then Salesforce is one. Alibaba from China is one. So what they do is they move their data or anything, maybe their data, their email applications, or the networking things, or the operating system things. They move to like a service provider, which they can access anytime, efficiently and fastly, without without the pain of taking care of it. So like today or tomorrow, like maybe in 5 years or 6 years or 7 years, you will eventually see the companies, they are moving to cloud technologies. For example, in USA, Department of Homeland Security, I guess, DHS, they move the data to AWS cloud, Amazon's cloud. So now you can guess like how important it is. Like it's an emerging technology. Why they're using it? First, they don't need to, like any smaller company, they don't need to have like their server team. Like they can eventually get away with this thing. They don't have to like think about, okay, our servers are down today. Is something there's something like let's call the on-call people today. What's happening with the servers today? why it's not responding, those kind of things. So it's like a private and public thing, which means there is the trust between the service provider and the company. Some companies they totally move their things on cloud. Some companies they keep like a very sensitive data with the sensitive classification, security classification. They keep the data on their own servers. The rest, the less important data, they move online, which is cloud. So that's what's happening, and it's gonna take like another 5 to 6 years for companies to move to cloud, and they're going to like having so many jobs in future related to cloud. I mean today also like there are so many jobs opening up when it comes to cloud, and companies are like big companies, they're like unable to like fill their job openings, and they're paying like handsome money for that also. For example, like if you go to Microsoft or Amazon, their starting salary for a cloud engineer starts with like $150K, something like that.
Yes, thank
No,
you,
thank
Wendy,
you
for
very
sharing all
much.
that.
Yeah. So as cloud computing, that's the latest technology too. But now we are hearing about machine learning, artificial intelligence. So those are relevantly new. But as we are having the telecommunication, we are reaching to 5G, the autonomous vehicles everywhere. So these terminologies we are hearing. So can you please share something about what machine learning AI is? And what is the scope in these domains, someone how they can get ready to enter into those job profiles?
Yeah, like machine learning is like we make the computer system to make predictions based on the data. For machine language, there's like there should be immense data, like a storage of data. Like they need to have a like, lot of data so that a machine can make prediction. For example, you're using a Tesla auto drive uh, technology, right? How it makes a turn, how it senses the vehicle in front of it, how it senses the vehicle at the end. It makes the decision based on the data that is provided to it. So this is one feature, one trend that's coming up in computer science, and it's going to open a lot of jobs for people. Uh, Another example is like, for example, you go on Twitter or Facebook, you will automatically see a like suggestion for a new friend. Say you see that list, right? That's also something that's related to machine learning. So the systems, for example, on the Twitter or Facebook, they're making that decision. They're like suggesting us what you should be doing based on our already existing friend list. They must just as okay, they are like interacting. You might find like this one, you might want to be a friend with this guy. And artificial intelligence is like we are making the machine to simulate the human being. For example, if a series, one example, or Google Assistant is one example, there's no a real person sitting when we ask, okay, hello Siri. There's no a real person, right? There's a virtual system that is answering our queries. So that kind of thing, that kind of technology is artificial intelligence. Uh, it also needs data to make decisions to our queries, like a huge amount of data. So yeah.
Yeah, no, Bill, thank you very much, Gagan, for going over. I know these are huge topics that won't be can be covered in a very small talk. So, but these are very powerful tools, powerful technology that is coming in our world, and we need to be aware of them. Like how we can learn about it. We can get ourselves aware about them. If we are college graduate, that we can make that decision whether you need to go into this field, what sort of languages, what sort of information you need to have in order to get accepted, or what school needs to go to. All this is great information that you shared with us, and thank you so much for sharing the insights from your industry that you're working in.
Exactly, Rajiv. Like people come to me and like I remember at one time like when I was in Montreal, someone came up to me like said he want to change the stream from management to like IT, and should he be learning C++? Like I was like little taken aback, you know. I told him like this is not a new trend in the industry. Like you should be going with the new emerging trends. For example, like, as I told you before, new languages like artificial intelligence or R language, Python, these kind of things. Uh, there there's going to be like a huge number of jobs that will open in next 5 to 6 years in computer science, mainly in the field of programming, and that would include machine learning and artificial intelligence and cloud.
And that's something we're seeing today. That's the best example that you brought, Tesla, that we all are probably buying those cars like, hey, yeah, I'm getting an autopilot. But
Yeah,
what we're talking about today, the front end and the back end, there's
exactly.
so much going behind the scenes that is making those technologies successful and handing it over to your hands. And that's the kind of the world we're going to be living in. And I know probably a couple months ago I read an article that they are launching these big trucks as well, the autopilot
Oh,
trucks.
but yeah,
That would impact a lot of different industries too. But hey, over the period of time, we've been changing.
exactly.
We now used to have iPhones. We used to have flip phones with the keyboards. Now we're hanging over to the iPhones, and they keep improving, keep bringing more sophisticated technologies in our hand. They're very powerful, and we have to learn. We have to adapt.
Yeah, exactly. Like many of the jobs in computer science, they go unfilled today because companies are looking for like someone who is well talented in like new technologies, as I spoke earlier, in artificial intelligence or machine learning or new languages. And people are still stuck with some old technologies. They're unwilling to learn. So yeah, they're still like unfilled. And they are paying handsome amount of money also. Trust me. Like in if you go with the like a cloud engineer job or say ML engineer job, they start with like 150 plus for a starting one. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Gagandeep. So
Yeah.
there is no age to
So
learn, so everybody should continue their learning. I want to thank everybody for watching. Please do send us questions. So we have mentors like Gagandeep here, so who live among yourself and who are willing to share their information and knowledge to help you improve. And please also provide us with the feedback and suggestions for the topics that you would like to listen. See you all in the next episode. Stay healthy and stay informed. Thank you very much.
And just before you conclude, Gurtej, I just want to add a couple words for our audience. That these podcasts that we're doing, these are for our especially for our high school graduates. They are deciding which field they need to go to. And if you guys have any question, if you want to learn about specific field, do reach out to us. Do send us a message that you're interested in learning about this specific field. Can you bring somebody from that profession? We can do so. And second, the people, they are graduating from universities and they're trying to find a job, and maybe you need help with the resume. That's an important factor. Having a degree is one thing. Second is your resume. You need to have right information on your resume in order to apply for a job. So that kind of information we can share as well. These professionals like Gagandeep, like Gurtej, like Parminder Sandhu, all of them, they can help you. And they've been doing that from last 2 years. So that is what this platform is all about. So please utilize us. Please do send us a question, send us a message, and any topic that you're interested in.
Rajdeep, I want to add one thing. I would say just don't keep dependent on the courses that are being taught at universities or colleges. Some of them are outdated. Trust me, I've been to India last year, and I still see like those colleges that we went to, they're still teaching the same thing.
Right, right. I think that's another topic by itself. So maybe we can create another podcast to talk about how you when you enroll into schools and things you learn in the beginning. By the time you graduate, they get outdated.
Exactly.
That is what we're talking about. Technology. You have like internet, everything you can search. If you can self study, if you are committed and passionate
Yeah,
about it.
studies. There's so many online courses that are being offered for free.
Right.
Yeah.
Do ask questions, do learn from somebody who lives close to you. But yeah, it's a internet savvy world. You can find all the information, but to have somebody who whom you can talk face to face, that definitely adds value, and whoever is willing to share the information that they have. So with that, I'll conclude. Thank you very much, Gagandeep, and
Thank
thanks
you so much,
everyone.
Katej. Thanks, Rajit.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
All the viewers. Yeah.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਤੇਜ ਸਿੰਘ,
ਮੈਂ ਰਾਜਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ
ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ ਦੀ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੋਂ
ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ
ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ
ਸ਼ੋਅ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਪੀਕਸ
ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਪੀਕਸ
ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ
ਟਾਈਮ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ।